never get caught. They were wrong. Now, they're in prison. Now, prison isn't any fun and it isn't any joke, so play it straight, gang. That way you'll get where you want to go, not where you don't, right?
Bill Cosby, once a beloved TV dad, and tonight a judge now determining that he is a sexually violent predator, ordering Cosby be cuffed and immediately sent to prison. A remarkable fall in full view in that courthouse today. The 81-year-old Cosby handcuffed, being led away there. His legal team responded.
And this has been the most racist and sexist trial in the history of the United States.
They'll say, you can't joke about rape. Rape's not funny. I say, fuck you. I think it's hilarious. How do you like that?
Bill Cosby is probably the greatest person of all time. He is so epic, and he never did anything wrong in his entire life. Regardless of what you think of Bill Cosby now, you can't deny the impact he once had on the world. He was the first African-American to star in a reoccurring drama series, and he actually consistently put minorities on a positive light on mainstream television. And his family-friendly brand of humor, I guess, was really fucking epic or something. But then, plot twist, the racist-ass cops threw him in jail, and we have to get him out so I can suck his cock. Hashtag Bill Cosby did nothing wrong. Hashtag free Bill Cosby. Hashtag defund the police. Hashtag I wish the police that arrested Bill Cosby died instead of Brian.
Brian, look out!
This my shit. All the girls that feel like this.
Hashtag Family Guy. Hashtag Family Guy funny moment. Hashtag lol Family Guy. Hashtag South Park. Mr. Cosby, 16 hours. How are you feeling? Mr. Cosby, any thoughts about the jury for Why the fuck did he do that? Did he think I was gonna get him out of jail? Alright, so Bill Cosby, much like my love life, is nothing but a fucking joke nowadays, but when he was still a thing, one of his most well-known shows was Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. And Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids is a show that wants to make me take a Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. The show consists of, you guessed it, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids doing whatever the fuck kids did back then and learning a lesson along the way. I think the biggest issue with the series is that there's too many characters. Like, look at any shot of the show or JPEG of all the characters, like it's so crowded, and all the other characters besides Fat Albert rely on having one or both of the following traits: retarded or fucking cunt.
Yeah, like taking the ball from Weird Harold.
Yeah, and throwing ferocious looks at us.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Except Fat Albert doesn't have any of those because he's like fucking epic or something. For me personally, the characters share the same problem with the dwarves in the Hobbit movies, where there's a ton of them and they all boil down to having one, two, or all of the following three traits, in this case being fat, old, or retarded. But every episode consists of one of the characters doing something dumb and then they solve it and learn a lesson along the way, which is just something stupid you've heard 1,000 fucking times. And in case you didn't get the lesson, live action Bill Cosby rummaging around in a pile of shit will narrate along the way and shove the moral down your throat at the end. And trust me, he's really good at shoving things down people's throats.
Or is it dry drip?
Holy shit, Fat Albert, much like Joe Biden, has ended racism. Let's fucking go. My favorite episode has to be the junk food one. Yeah, kids, you hear that? Don't eat too much candy, even though the title character is the size of a fucking attack helicopter. Now, obviously, a lot of televised cartoon series from this era do not hold up. In fact, Hanna-Barbera in the 70s dominated the industry, taking over 80% of all children's programming. And keep in mind, Fat Albert wasn't a Hanna-Barbera show. It was animated by Filmation, one of the only major rivals to Hanna-Barbera back in the day. I mean, like, every fucking thing, I swear, had a show back in the day. Like, Chuck Norris even had a show.
Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris.
Wait a second, this isn't a show, this is just a documentary of his life. But oh my god, there was so much crap in this era. Most of which, again, belonged to Hanna-Barbera, and they wanted to make as many shows as possible, and that wasn't difficult considering their business strategies being effective, and, you know, shitting out as many shows as possible. And keep in mind, since so many of these shows were so effortless back in the day, you were lucky if you got 2 seasons, maybe. Most only only ran for one, because they were always on in the movie and the next thing, and it's not like the show was, you know, good, because they have to move on to the next thing, can't fucking put effort into it. But you see, the thing about Fat Albert is that it actually got 8 seasons across 13 years, and from what I've seen, I think Fat Albert is somewhat better than a lot of the other shows in the time. Again, mainly because it wasn't a toy commercial and, you know, it was actually original, but it was suffering from another disadvantage of cartoons from this era being very centric on morals. Now, every show back in the day had to have some lesson segment or moral integral to the story.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good. It's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to. So what do? First, you say no. Then, you get out of there. Most important, you gotta tell someone you trust.
Yeah, Sonic, like that. Like shows like The Get Along Gang, Little Clowns of Happy Town, Care Bears, like shit like that used to be common. But Fat Albert is just its own type of this sucks. Like I said, most stuff from this era does not hold up, and even before the entire scandal involving Bill Cosby and his chocolate jello pudding pop, this was already like a widely mocked show. And I think really the only like association that people my age have with the property is seeing countless parodies of it. I'm pretty sure my first introduction to the character was when it was parodied on The Fairly Odd Parents.
Hey, Heavy Hal! Can I jam with the band?
Yo, yo, yo! Join in the show.
You're playing the Pooper Scooper!
And you see, I think that's the thing. I think it's the show we've all been mocked 1,000 times, but I've never actually seen the original property. The closest thing I'd actually seen to the original series was a YouTube channel called Fat Albert and the Hood, which was a YouTube channel entirely dedicated to Fat Albert in the Hood.
Hey, hey, hey! It's Fat Ass Albert!
Which I used to think was hilarious in 2012. God, I feel old. But Fat Albert in the Hood was just a series of dubs of Fat Albert episodes just filled with this type of shit.
Damn! Oh! Shit! Oh!
Mudfoot, you okay? Wake up, nigga! Quick, somebody tell me what to do.
I think you gotta give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Man, I am not putting my lips on that nigga mouth. He finna have to die.
Yeah, you know those vines of like children's shows voiceovers that were popular in like 2013? They tried to make a show out of that.
This is Bill Cosby coming at you with lots of guns. If you're not careful, you get busted in the head before it's done.
Hey, hey, hey!
I'm like, the channel now only has less than 2K subscribers and died in 2012. I just thought it was worth mentioning. Wait a second, why am I complaining about this? I used to do the exact same thing, just with King of the Hill when I was 14.
You know, I really hate them damn Puerto Ricans. Yeah, damn Puerto Ricans are pretty damn stupid, but they're not as damn stupid as Bubby. Here, let me demonstrate. Yo, Bubby, what you want to be when you grow up, boy? Dad, I want to be Lindsay Lohan so I can take 5 BBCs at once. You like taking graps? It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Jesus Christ, you faggot.
Actually, Fat Albert in the Hood, the hilarious and epic web series, sadly ended because the creators started another series called The Trap House, which was like a live-action sitcom and was essentially the same thing, but not limited to whatever episodes of Fat Albert they had in their library that they could dub over. And obviously this was made with no talent or resources, and unsurprisingly even less people watched it. And they tried to resurrect it as a cartoon, except again with no talent or resources whatsoever. I'm pretty sure we all did this at one point where we tried to make like a sitcom in your backyard with your friends or some shit. Like even I'm guilty of this.
Wait a minute, garage! Oh, don't worry, you know our house?
Yeah?
I actually sold it for some guys. What? For $2 so I could buy an ice cream cone.
This my shit. All the girls that feel like this.
Hashtag Family Guy. Hashtag Family Guy funny moment. I don't know, I just thought it was worth bringing up. I just find dead YouTube channels from like 10 years ago that once had a small following, but still a following, interesting. Hell, I actually might be one of those one day. But back to Fat Albert. So, since it was on the air for so long, you would have expected it to be rebooted like 1,000 fucking times. But nope, there was never actually a reboot series. They changed the title of the series to The New Fat Albert Show in 1979. But it wasn't a new show, it was just just new episodes from seasons 5 to 7. Then in season 8, when it became syndicated on multiple networks, it was referred to as The Adventures of Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Wow, that title is longer than Bill Cosby's prison sentence. Additionally, there was a primetime special that also kind of serves as a test pilot titled Hey 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 It's Fat Albert, which only broadcasted 3 times and is lost to this day. Well, besides this 15-second clip, it hasn't resurfaced since and probably won't officially because, you know, Bill Cosby, but who knows, it could resurface one day. And supposedly there was a reboot happening in 2013, but then pudding pop incident happened, so I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But there is actually only one other fucking epic property in the Fat Albert cinematic universe, which was a live-action movie. What the fuck?
In the mind of Bill Cosby.
In the mind of Bill Cosby? Oh no. Now, like I established, the film is live action, meaning it's one of those live action adaptations of cartoons, and which I established were everywhere in the 2000s. And nowadays, like these CG hybrid movies that are technically in the same category, but are thankfully less present nowadays. But this one, unlike most of them, which were just made to make money, and successfully they did, this one actually flopped for once. And you know, Bill Cosby's name on your property used to be an advantage, so if the pudding pop incident didn't happen, you would probably see this at your local Walmart dollar bin, except the pudding pop incident did happen, so yeah, you're not gonna really see it at your local Walmart's dollar bin, making it kind of one of the most overlooked of its category. But who knows, maybe it's actually really amazing. Like, according to Kenan Thompson, who stars in this movie as Fat Albert, and you also may know from various Nickelodeon properties, Bill Cosby said to him on the set of the movie, "Oh, you know, life is good in the movies or whatever, but you'll just be ready, because when the movie comes out, you're gonna need 2 dicks because the women are gonna be all over you." Apparently that happened on the set of this movie, so you know it's gonna be fucking lit if he said that to him. So, ladies and gentlemen, grab a drink or two because we're watching the Fat Albert movie. So we start out with fucking Comic Sans as the font for this movie. Start out with a reinterpretation of the series theme song, and I gotta say, this first minute is actually really fun. Like, it actually brings that aspect of whimsicality that the original show doesn't have, which makes it so dated and bad.
I don't want to cut into your recess time, Albert, but there's something I have to talk to you about. It's about our new boy, Dennis. Have you noticed something unusual about him?
Only that he reminds me of some characters that I saw on the Brown Hornet.
It goes deeper than that, Albert. Dennis is what doctors term an atypical child. Perhaps this might clarify it better. He is retarded.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well.
Like, why wasn't the whole movie like this? Like, then you remember, oh yeah, this is the live action movie. Where is my boy Kenan Thompson and his 2 dicks? Where is all that? Well, despite the movie being called Fat Albert isn't even the main character. The main character is actually a vulnerable teenage girl named Doris. And wow, this really does scream in the mind of Bill Cosby. And Fat Albert is like, oh, that girl looks nice. So, what does Fat Albert do? Yeah, okay, that's probably the most realistic reaction to any movie character ever. So all the rest of the Cosby Kids climb out the TV, except my boy Russell, who's the most epicest character of all. But notice how he's clearly much younger than all the other characters? In fact, the character from the original show was actually based on Bill Cosby's younger brother of the same name from his real life. They probably just didn't want to have a child actor because, you know, kids are fucking retarded, and I guess it also looked kind of weird. So, my boy Russell got this stupid-ass subplot where the film cuts back to sometimes where he's defending their pile of shit from like some random gang or some shit, which does nothing but make the film even more confusing. So later in the day, is the network still airing the show with the characters? Like, what did the TV station think of this? Did they not realize that the characters weren't in the new episode? Or rerun? Was that new? What the fuck happened? Why is none of this explained? Why did they have to make the characters come out of the TV? How come he only came out of one TV? None of this is explained. Like, why the fuck did they even have to do this coming out of the TV bullshit? Like, in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, the human characters are humans, not cartoon characters. Therefore, they don't need to address that they are cartoon characters, because in the cartoon, they are humans, and it was adapted into humans, which makes sense because they're humans.
All you care about are swimsuit models.
No! Look, I'm a man of substance. Dorky chicks like you turn me on too.
Like, why? Why did they do this? This is such a stupid idea. It's not like they address it at all. It's not like it makes sense in the universe at all. Actually, that would require effort, which the film clearly didn't have to make the laws of this universe work in that context.
But I'm gonna tell him that we need a gate, some kind of guard or screen up over the TV set, so nobody can get out. Okay. Ah!
Uh-oh, I do not like where this is going. But Fat Albert wants to help Doris make friends, despite Doris' sister being the hottest girl in the school and she being constantly invited to parties, but doesn't go to them and goes home and watches Fat Albert instead. So fuck it, they gotta get Doris some friends. But along the way, we get tons of fish out of water humor, which is so funny. Get it? They don't know what the thing is because they're from a different time period, because the show came out in a different time period. Oh my god, this is hilarious.
What are you talking into?
A phone? It doesn't have any wires. You guys yanking my chain?
Hey, yo, holy shit, is that Harvey Weinstein? But anyway, they get invited to a party, so what do they gotta do? They gotta go waste time in the mall, and we get a montage of them trying on clothes. And wow, aren't we original? But also, there's some jock kid named Reggie, and he hates Fat Albert because I guess movie has to happen.
Reggie, you can't be in the Fat Albert movie. You're Reggie. You work for Nintendo.
Not anymore!
And they go to a party, and Reggie's like, hey, fuck you, Fat Albert, you're a fucking doo-doo head who can't do shit. And Fat Albert's like, haha, sure you are, you stupid bitch, and he starts rapping.
And since fat's where it's at, I don't wanna get skinny. For what? I like the bigger heart that's within me.
Ah, shut the fuck up, Mom! I'm listening to the Fat Albert rape rap! Also, Fat Albert is banging Doris' sister now, and I guess the Fat Albert and the gang realize that their color is fading away, so they have the option to stay in the real world and fade away like Bill Cosby's career, or go back into the TV, which means he can't get any of Doris' sister's chocolate cake at 4 in the morning, if you know what I'm saying. So Fat Albert's like, fuck it, I want some of that cake. So what does he do? He has to go to Bill Cosby. And what does he do to go to Bill Cosby? He goes to Bill Cosby's house. Oh, dude, don't go to Bill Cosby's house! What the fuck? Okay, well, theoretically, he should be fine as long as he doesn't look in his nightstand or basement. But plot twist, it actually turns out that Fat Albert is based on Doris's grandfather. Now, the Fat Albert character was actually based on an actual person, as were all the Cosby kids were based on people Bill Cosby knew growing up. But even if we take the actual history of the character out of commission, he wasn't a thing until decades after you were born. Also, Pill Bill, the whole bloody affair, can't do shit, so Albert breaks it off with Doris' sister.
Oh, Lord.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it.
And there's gotta be some sort of climax, I guess, so Doris goes to a track meet and wins because fucking 2,000-pound Albert is so inspirational. And Reggie is like, my body is ready, fuck you, I'm gonna fight you. And then they're gonna fight. Wow, that was epic. Then they go back at the TV, everything's hunky-dory, the end. And that was the Fat Albert movie, and holy hell, if more people knew about this movie, it would probably go down as one of the worst of its category. Personally, I do think there are 2 more far appropriate directions they could have gone in when making a Fat Albert movie. The first could have been like an animated musical that had really nothing to do with the source material, but there's not really anything to adapt, so I don't think the fan base would care at all. Keep in mind, the original show wasn't a musical show. Like, they played instruments and stuff, but it wasn't really integral to the plot, and the songs weren't frequent. But like I said, the first minute was actually really fun, and hell, I could have actually had a good time with the Fat Albert property for once. Or they could have done a complex character study as to what the answer of a cartoon character was forced to live in the real world would look like. The characters in this movie have such minimal development, it's not treated with serious or depth at all. The only character development they get whatsoever is that, oh, hey, look, the stupid trait that that the characters have, well, guess what? They don't have that because they are no longer cartoon characters because they're in reality, and the film is not worth your time whatsoever. However, if you do want to make fun of Bill Cosby with your friends while watching this movie, then, yeah, I recommend it. Go fucking nuts.